Alright, so, hello everyone, and welcome back to Factorio. Let's click resume and get right into it. So, last we left off, we were here on Fulgora doing all of this stuff still. And we were mostly just letting this cook for a bit. So we're getting the quality modules in, and another 177 of those, and then we will have all the legendary red circuits we could ever want, probably. Alright, that box is not supposed to exist. That was for draining some mistakes off of the belt, which are no longer relevant. So we can just clear it out and see how things are going now. We've got ice cubes coming in. The ice cube train actually seems like it stops by relatively frequently, which is interesting. So this is all still sulfuric acid limited, right? Yes. Only by a little bit, but it is what's happening. So, you are fluid ingredient short. So it's these two chemical plants which need to be even faster. And again, we can just hopefully just upgrade those like that. And this is outputting 200. These are only taking like 120 total, so that should give us the improvement we need. And hopefully it will wind up being enough. We're going to have to wait for them to show up, obviously, and then we're going to have to figure out... So this is taking 20 sulfur. This can make up to 29, so we could get this fully saturated in theory if we had everything running at full speed, which who knows if we will get that. We're launching more red circuits still, so it is working to some extent. And this whole thing looks jammed. It's currently functioning. Like, all these blue circuits are getting output at approximately the correct rate. And we even have this one down here waiting on green circuits. So hopefully that all works out and is fine. Now these guys are going to be fluid ingredient short again. And this is now got plenty of sulfur, and there's not enough sulfuric acid. The iron plate supply is also a little bit sketch somehow, just because of 4 per second that we're using there, in theory. And we need more water. So, let's just copy-paste that. What did I just click? Alright, so that did get placed properly. So that should improve the amount of water we have. And then let's run the Spidertron down this way to try to fix this drone port problem. And we just need these to get placed out every so often. And alright, something like that ought to help. It's probably not going to be perfect, but it should be a big improvement. Now the Spidertron can go and stand somewhere convenient again. Why do I keep hitting the button that takes me back to there? Oh, it's because I just need to scroll in to exit map view. I think Dyson Sphere programmed the buttons worked differently. I'm not sure though. My muscle memory is just slightly different now, and I can't explain why for certain. Alright, so this is now working, and we have sulfuric acid buildup in all of the machines, it looks like. So we have managed to fix the problem, even just with what we have here. And apparently we need another one of you. I keep hitting escape, and it keeps not being the right button. Apparently we need more foundations for that. But also apparently we got a delivery of modules at some point. So this is actually doing somewhat useful things now. So we've got the first two of these are fully set up. And then these latter two are like 50-50. Or worse. Probably more like a third each. But it's something at least. We're going to keep getting more. So hopefully that just keeps on working out. The advanced circuits, we have quite a few. We've got 700 on the platform and another 100 some on the way. And then another solid chunk available after that. So that is all pretty good. The green circuit supply, meanwhile, is also still sort of overfilled. So these ones up here are not getting many through. But these ones over here are generating a decent chunk of legendary iron and copper plates, which we are then promptly picking up and bringing over here, I think, for processing stuff. We need to make a whole bunch of steel, which is going pretty well, honestly. We're up to 9 of those, 100 legendary pipes, and 10 legendary recyclers to spare. So that's going somewhere. And now we just have to get this guy going. We have another 100 on the way. So this actually just sort of keeps filling up. It's looking pretty solid in terms of its production then. Like if we can get those hundreds launched up every so often so that this brings full supplies, that would be pretty cool. And I assume that's coming from mostly this one still, right? Yeah, that's got another 64 in it already. And plenty more on the way. Is this jammed, or does it just look rough? I think it just looks bad. It's not fully jammed, because the green circuits are still definitely going through. I cannot wait until we can just not worry about this. And I wonder if there's a lot of quality modules in here. I actually bet we can just dismantle these two and then fill up the top side and then just be completely finished. Let's just do the math. So these have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 40, 80 machines with 4 quality modules each. That is 240, or no, it's 320 quality modules. We only need 154. Okay, so if we... Do I even want to turn this off completely? Because technically this is functional, kind of. So actually, yeah, let's dismantle this and shift all the legendary production up to the north side. Although, maybe we can leave this partly functional. This had too many recycling machines anyways, so we could take a bunch out without actually breaking anything. Might even make it better. So we need 154, right? So that is about 160. Divided by 4 is about 40 machines. Okay, so if we take like half of these out, then it should just work. So the tricky part is we can't just mass dismantle or we'll break all of this stuff, which actually needs to exist. So if we're taking out 40, it's going to be 10 from each row, right? So we can just go like that and like that. And that all goes out. I hit the wrong button again. But that should give us all the modules we need while still keeping this region semi-functional. And it should eventually lower the amount going through here because this was... I think we did the math at some point and you need like 30 in a row for it to be optimal. So this isn't perfectly optimal, but it's not terribly far off. So now we get to pick all of those things up. And let's get the Spidertron over here. I need to stop hitting escape and start hitting Q. Because in Dyson Sphere program, the Q button just doesn't do anything. So I've instantaneously lost my muscle memory for clicking that button in particular. Alright, Spidertron is here. And it's not doing anything because I guess all of these have already had drones assigned to them, which is fine. So this all goes out. A lot of these machines were just sort of being wasted anyways. So it'll be marginally lower productivity on this, but not actually completely bricked. And then the top side should actually start working properly now. And once we get all those quality modules through, it's going to go through the roof, which should be very cool. So all those go away. Just gotta wait for the drones to do their thing, which is taking a little bit. But yeah, so the number of missing quality modules is down to like the 90s. And it should continue to drop off as more of these guys get picked up. And there we go. Those are all going away, and they're gonna have to deposit them in a box somewhere before it registers that they exist to go put them into the machines. So that's that. Let's just take away those portions of the belts because it's ugly, and then this one is a little bit more complicated because we have to leave the belt in the middle, but we can just take that and that out just so that those things don't just exist there for no reason. Okay, so now it's saying we're 30 quality modules short. And of course we have to bring them all up here as well, but that's already looking basically completely filled. And theoretically it should be fully functional now. Although I am seeing some red circuit backlogs up this side, which hopefully isn't a serious issue. These guys down here aren't getting green circuits through fast enough. So is that an actual throughput problem? I think it's probably just a temporary thing while these boxes reach some sort of equilibrium. I'm not sure. It's been fine for the other rows, so it should be fine for these ones. We could always implement an actual buffer system for the red circuits so that this doesn't like push too far back and start causing actual disruptions. Alright. Yeah, so now it says all of the quality modules have been assigned, and they're all coming in now. And I think they've all been built. So this is theoretically functional. I don't know if it will actually work or not. So obviously there's all sorts of things that can go wrong with this. But we also just need to... The Spidertron should have some foundations on hand to get that lightning collector in to save this whole area from constantly just taking random chip damage. So let's get that going. And everything seems to be going fine. Power grid is solid. Sulfuric acid supplies are good. And the machines are mostly all running. Obviously, these ones up here don't necessarily have the same amount of throughput expectation as the lowest ones down here. But it is still looking like it should. And look at all these blue circuits go through. Those are all epic blue circuits, and about a quarter of those are going to turn into legendaries. That is fantastic. That is what you want to see. And everything here looks functional. Everything here looks functional. The number of legendary green circuits is about to go crazy. And we're also getting a nice, solid, full rocket of legendary red circuits in probably no time at all. To the point where you might need to increase the requests on the rockets, on the space platforms to take more. That would be pretty dang neat. So yeah, this is absolutely going to fill up in no time. This is so much more efficient than the previous setup, and that's, I mean, mostly just because of the massive scale of this whole thing, right? Like, this is so many recyclers working on this process that it would be crazy if it weren't. But it also seems to be all working at mostly full capacity, although it looks like this one here is struggling to get output, and all the rest of them look mostly fine. So it's just this one, and it's just the last couple, which I thought I did the math, and this was less than a full belt's worth. So let's see. 8 per second, that's 2 stacks, right? So this is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30. So this is 30 stacks of green circuits per second. But it might be the red circuits that they need to output, which are also causing problems. Although those should all be sorted up here by the time they get anywhere close to that. So I don't know what's causing you to have that problem. And obviously these ones up here aren't having the same problem because they just don't have quite as much throughput as the bottom one does, which is to be expected. And will also theoretically change over time as processing unit productivity gets eventually just maxed out. So, we still need to solve the mystery of why this belt here and these couple of belts here are filled. So it's 2 stacks each, right? And so this one is totally operational. That one's totally operational. That one is. This one has the excess. So it's like the last 4 which have too much. And this one is only by a little bit, but it is still notable. And then these ones are nearly or completely capped out already. So, let's see. When we do this, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30. So this should theoretically be the last one adding things in, right? Like, there should only be 28 items on the belt as of back here. And I guess like 28 point something for the red circuits, but still not 30. So is there like... There's no belt speed limitation in there. There's no belt speed limitation anywhere in this entire system. Those are all fully upgraded. So, what's happening here? This belt looks completely... This belt isn't even completely filled. There are occasional gaps. Speaking of occasional gaps, apparently the drone coverage needs a little bit more. So we can just get a couple more of those guys in, and they just keep flying out into new and creative areas that I haven't covered yet. I don't know why they do this. It's a very good thing I haven't gotten legendary drones here on Fulgora. That would get very expensive very quickly. Okay, so we have just sort of pressed that out a little bit more. Hopefully that will finally be what does the trick. Now back to this. This belt here is... I mean, it looks almost full, but it's not 100% full, which is highly suspicious, because it should be just about exactly, and these stack inserters should be waiting on it to cause that. So I guess what could be happening, and this is just a theory, is that if one of the gaps happens to be while this is running back to grab another load, then it gets through. And those slight inefficiencies are what's causing the problem. So, how do we fix that? So, on average, it should be enough, right? We've done the math like a billion times, and it should be fine on average. Problem is that it isn't average, so what I think we actually need is for the gap where we do the split to be halfway through. Then these can output to both sides of the belt here, which should give them enough space to fully output. And then when they jam into this system, then it'll get evened out there. And again, this is like only an issue for this bottom row, because it's the only one which actually has 100% output at all times, because these ones aren't getting that quite there, so they have the extra space built in. So, let's get that sorted out. How are we going to do that? So we need we need this belt to feed in so that it's outputting to the other side, which is going to mean either something like this, where, okay, we could just move one of these guys over to here, right? So we just do something like this, and then you get quality modules, and then we do the same thing down here. Get placed, you get your quality modules, and then we need to remove these. So this whole thing is going to be temporarily shut off. So we take that out so that nothing happens for a little bit. We remove this whole section of belt, and you need a splitter, and you need that to continue on through. And actually, we just copy paste. No, we can't copy paste that one because there's randomly a power pole there. So we just have to copy paste that right in like that. And that is apparently not where the splitter goes. So now we have this. And we just need to do the same thing up here. So we get you need to be rotated correctly. So we go in like that. And so now we have technically one extra machine in, which means now we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have to go down 8 of these. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we take like maybe that one out. And I don't actually know if this is enough space for all of this. Hopefully it is. Be pulling all that out. So the green belt needs to go back this way, and then you go into there, and then you fill. No, that doesn't do anything, right? That just forces it along to the same side that it would have been on anyways. Also, we used blue belts for that for some reason. So I already dismantled it. How did we do this? We need to get you to go up and down onto that side, which if we put you in like that, does that even work? So if we give you the space to go a little bit forwards, is this going to output the way I want it to, or are we going to need to... Okay, it's not outputting the way I want it to. So we take that back out. We dismantle all of that, and then we are going to need to cut that whole thing out and shift it one to the right, which is going to be a whole lot of dismantling, because of course it is. And now this should, once they're done with all this should leave us enough space to do all of the stuff we needed to do. Let's get the Spidertron over here. Somehow, those were absolutely critical to the whole thing working. The power poles in there were the only form of connection. So let's get another power pole in. And then we need this. Now we have the extra space. So you can wrap around like that. And then we're going to have to do this same thing somewhere else. And we're going to need to fix up some of these power poles, which now have gaps in them. So that is that. And then we're going to have to do the same thing up here. So let's just, I guess, get the drones started on that. So we take you out. So we take that whole segment out. Then we cut this, paste it one over to the right to give us the extra space. And then we just have to wait for the drones to do all the work, which they are currently very, very busy doing. And I imagine... Okay, no, you actually have power, but you don't have inventory space. So hopefully that gets through pretty quickly. The drones are extraordinarily busy right now, but the bottom half seems to have been constructed almost fully. I'm still missing a couple of quality modules, but that's fine. And we're probably also going to want to chop that to let it drain just a tiny little bit, because these machines have had time to run now, so they're gonna fill up anyways. And the good news is we've got all these guys up here, which take absolutely forever to fully drain out. So we've got a good supply of red circuits for the foreseeable future already. We just need to get this minor optimization through so that it can all work out. And gosh, the drones sure are taking a while. 2,000 construction drones and 1,000 logistics drones seems like a lot until you ask them to empty out boxes of things, in which case it suddenly becomes almost nothing. Okay, so this... I believe enough has been cleared out that I can see what we're doing here, so you need to come out like that, around like that, and in like that. So that should hopefully get the green circuits lined up properly. And we just have to hope that this optimization actually works. And can we also just get the Spidertron to run over this way, and so that it's more directly by all of these things, these storage chests. So the Spidertron can now do its work a little bit quicker. And it's funny, every single time it empties out a stack, there's another bunch of drones which just deliver another stack into its inventory. Alright, so that is getting there. Slowly but surely. And we're losing drones again, this time up that little corner, which I think we don't even need to bring the Spidertron up for. Those will just get built eventually somehow. And it seems like the Spidertron is... It seems to be recharging now, but it's mostly just emptying its personal inventory. We have some available construction drones now, which means that theoretically it shouldn't be that much longer before this is all sorted out. So basically every time a construction drone makes a loop, like every item has been assigned to a construction drone. So it's just a question of like when all of these construction drones will finish their next cycle and be finished with it. And hopefully that will be soon. It looks like we're hitting some sort of slowdown, which means either we're almost done or the drone ports in the area have been completely borked. But we've got to be almost there, right? Like, just got a couple items in those boxes, and then we have this box, which we don't have to dismantle, so that's fine. And it should all come together from there. So, there we go. And we can actually just get that output belt running again. No reason not to. No reason not to just start getting some of these green circuits out as soon as possible. And it'll take a little while for that to get through anyways. And now we're... Alright, where are these massive attacks on Vulcanus happening? They're happening here. Sort of at this back corner. Alright, that is no good. So, let's start by copy-pasting this sort of blob of drone ports and extending this branch out a little bit. And we might even need to extend it out a little bit to the left as well. So that will be advanced placements for our drone ports, and in the meantime, we probably want a better, like any defense on the back row there. So let's get some laser turrets in there. Just in case the biters decide to do something funny, we can prevent that sort of flanking maneuver, which would otherwise cause some problems. Alright, so that is that. And then over on Fulgora, this is just about finished. We're missing like one steel chest and a couple of splitters and stuff. Also, can we... Okay, so we got some of these guys out here at the entrance, which didn't actually need to be upgraded. But other than that, everything looks functional. And we are successfully outputting items. So, we're almost there. That belt needs to be connected across as well. And it sure is taking them a while to get all these guys in. But they've got to be close, right? We're not missing any of those items. It's just a matter of the drones making their massive trips. And then it should all be good. It is kind of annoying to not have it working like this. Okay, also this belt of red circuits got disrupted, so let's fill that across. This top one is fully functional. Okay, I want to know how those got placed like instantly, but the other ones didn't. That's a mystery. Okay, meanwhile, up here, the epic blue circuit seems just completely, almost completely uninterrupted by all that. So that's pretty neat. And now we just have to let this run for a little bit. And yeah, funnily enough, that belt there works just as fine as a blueprint as it does as an actual belt. And so now this is all running once more. And let's see, is this belt fully saturated at this point? It looks a lot like it, at least for now. And obviously there's no way of knowing if that's just because some of these guys have backlogs that they shouldn't. Those backlogs should eventually run out, so, especially since we're not putting in as many fresh circuits. So yeah, so that should eventually run out. And then we'll be able to see if this is fully functional or not. For the meantime, it looks pretty decent. And we have thousands of advanced circuits just sitting around. So, Fulgora support. We are going to want you to request like 5,000 and minimum payload of back up to 1,000. And you can probably just request a similar number of green circuits as well. That shouldn't hurt things in the end. So now we get to launch serious amounts of red circuits, and that should have us covered for basically anything we could possibly want. Like, we're still waiting on it a little bit here. And how many red circuits do we have requested here on Novice? That's a good question as well, because we just wanted to make sure that we're getting all these through the system. Currently requesting 1,000. Let's bring that request up to 5,000 as well. And we have 10,000 green circuits requested, so that shouldn't be an issue. Although I suppose it could. I don't know. How many green circuits do we realistically need? Probably not that many. Probably not that many. So currently we have like a couple thousand in storage. And so this whole process only uses 1.84 green circuits and like 1.2-ish red circuits, whereas the blue circuit production obviously uses a huge amount. So that... okay, this does actually work out to a significant number of green circuits per red circuit. And Novice is taking a lot of damage again, which I assume is this area, or actually that was Fulgora. Okay, so let's see if we just continue. I don't know how far we're going to need to go for these branches, but if we just do something like that and like that, that should give us the distance we need to create reasonably effective artillery outposts out there. So now we go back into this, and it really does just run practically forever. The amount of blue circuits that decreases with each cycle should be like 25%, right? Because 25% go up there, and a little bit less than, and like a couple percents, not even that many, get destroyed in the recycling process. But the main thing is that 25% get upgraded to the next level. And that's like the main output of blue circuits from this loop. So if it decreases by 25% per loop, then that each machine is theoretically getting rid of like 0.4 blue circuits per second, which is not that many. But the number of legendary red circuits we get out the other side is quite good. So that's all going. Fulgora support has 4,000 red circuits incoming to Novice. So that will be pretty great. And we just want to keep up the output as fast as it can possibly go, and hope that we have enough. So currently it is sort of on low power mode while we get all these buffers fixed up. And it looks like that's getting there. So all of these guys look fine. It's just like this one, which has an internal buffer still. And up here, we've got like 2 of these with internal buffers. And then these guys are all normal as well. So yeah, we just have a little bit. And then we connect that belt back in, ramp this up to full power, and see what happens from there. And then if we wanted to expand this, honestly, there's no real good way of doing it. The best way would just be to add another one at that point. Like, this uses a full belt of green circuits almost exactly. So if we tried to just like add more recyclers in or something, we would just hit the belt cap, and that would not be tremendously efficient. So it should be fine as is. And these guys should be just about at their limits. So now it's just this one box which is still doing stuff, and then we can connect the input back in. And all of these guys don't have ingredients because the blue circuits looping through here aren't going fast enough. And that's perfectly acceptable. So all of this is going. Obviously not getting green circuits all the way through. So we're running a little bit lower power than usual here. And even then, we have a full 1000 rocket plus a little bit to spare. And we're getting a full box. We're getting full boxes of iron and copper plates out of this as well, and I think we might need to upgrade those belts. That does not look fast enough at all. And, oh, we also are going to... Hang on, wait, did I do this right? This has a weird loop, which puts all of the recycled stuff on this side of the belt, but then the fresh input is also like 50-50 on which side of the belt it's on. So I don't know how much that matters. Actually, what I want to do is... Okay, so what I want to do is have a system here which goes around like that and like that, so that this can just go through no matter what. And we need to grab some foundation for that, so we can just very lazily just pick it up from there, and then that should let us fill these guys up. And hopefully that can all get through before this whole thing explodes. It says we need one more foundation. Hopefully the Spidertron will be carrying extra foundations, and you can run up there and get that built in. Alright, so yeah, now it doesn't matter which side the green circuits come in from. They'll just be placed on whichever side is available, while the outputs will all be placed on this one side. And we might need to expand this out, although that's going to require figuring out what's wrong with our foundation production. We're not getting any carbon fiber, and I think it's been that way for a while. So let's head over to Gleba and see if we can spot if there's something wrong with carbon fiber production here. No, we have plenty. So Who is responsible for the carbon fiber? This guy is. Let's set you to just carry twice as much, and hopefully that works. And then, which of you guys are carrying the foundation? Aquila Stone is carrying like 50 foundation for some reason. And Aquila Support 1 does nothing. Aquila Support 2 is supposed to carry the foundation. It's also got like 50. Okay, so there's nothing really interesting to look at there. Okay, this does seem to be keeping up. Or at least just about keeping up. I guess we'll figure out whether it's fully managing it or not. Okay, so the other thing which I want to do is we've got a whole bunch of random red and green circuits just from when all this stuff was lying about and like being dismantled and everything. So I want to fill those back into the system. So we're going to get you to grab legendary or epic red circuits, which we don't have any of because I think we did that one already. So, but I think we haven't done rares or anything else, right? So you grab rare red circuits, and then you grab rare green circuits, and then we can get the inserters in, and that should do it. Fulgora Support is getting more stuff. These machines are taking forever to place. The bulk inserters, despite being placed significantly after the requester chests, get built significantly before the requester chests. Thanks for that, very cool. I guess we should start getting the uncommons in as well. So you are going to be uncommon red circuits and uncommon green circuits. Okay, we've managed to somehow find ourselves in the absolutely minuscule drone coverage gap again, because of course we have. So let's just put the drone port in there, and actually we need to get this one too. So if we put you in there, that should cover that whole gap, hopefully. And then we will see how that works out. And there's no need to pump in more of those guys. But what we do need to do is get the blue circuit supply going up again. Okay, so now these guys are going in, and it might cause a bit of problems in the short term, but 38,000 uncommon green circuits, that's brutal. And several tens of thousands of rares, and then we've already checked the epics, and there are none of those. So that should, partially to give us a boost, and mostly just because we need to clear out some of these dang storage chests at some point. Like, we just have to get this junk out of those, and it might cause problems in the buffer chests. I guess we'll have to see, but it should be fine. So now this whole thing is going at full speed, and the belt here seems to be more or less completely filled. There are very occasional gaps though. So even even with this, it isn't perfect, although that might also just be a question of like it building up. Like once it is fully buffered and everything, that might change. Alright, so that is all going now. And these guys should be running at slightly faster speeds than they normally would. And we've got a whole bunch of circuits coming out. So it's going to be it's always a bit of a warm-up time with these things getting to full speed once you power them on, because they just have to trickle through all the various steps. But with the sheer scale of this whole thing, it should actually be relatively quick, I think. So that's good. Okay, so now back to Novice. We had built up these... Where are they? So now we want to put in our artillery outposts, which can just go in however. And so you're going to go in like that. And then we run power lines up to it. And then we just do the same thing over here. We grab artillery outpost. We send you just a little bit further from the previous drone port. And then connect power lines up to it. And that should, in theory, provide plenty of coverage for this coal mine. So that's all set. This is slowly draining out those silly extra circuits. And it's probably going to be quite a while before that gets fully resolved, but it'll happen eventually, and then we won't have, you know, all of these boxes full of bajillions of random green circuits. So that should be all fine. Then we can, I guess, just go back and check on our module production, which should be absolutely fantastic now. So this still has 3,000 circuits to spare, and we're up to 35 legendary quality modules. And then up on the productivity side, we've got fewer. We've only got 9, but that's because this has been set down to a much lower than natural number. So let's set that up to 200 so that we can get legendary productivity modules going through as well. And that should be all good. So this is just going to keep on printing modules. And now I think we probably have enough red circuit production that we can just do stuff with them and not have it be terrible. So let's figure out, I was going to say, there's no way there's higher quality combinators with magical stuff, right? We can get higher quality chests with more storage. Alright, higher quality roboports with faster recharge rates, which would be quite cool for like the massive scale production stuff. We can also get higher quality robots themselves, which fly faster and go further on a charge. And I believe in the next update, like 2.1 or whatever, they're releasing higher quality train stuff, but that doesn't exist yet. So higher quality inserters can go faster. That's pretty cool. Do like going fast. But I think probably we want to stick in the machines tab. So if we get better speed modules, and actually the biggest thing that we want is the big mining drills, because that will reduce our demand on resource patches by a tremendous amount. So, we need advanced circuits, electric engine units, tungsten carbide, regular mining drills, and molten iron. So, the molten iron obviously is irrelevant because that's a fluid. Electric mining drills is just some iron and copper. That should be fine. Tungsten carbide is an obstacle. Advanced circuits are potentially an obstacle, but I don't think they'll be much of one. And electric engine units, I have no idea. Green circuits, engine units, and lubricant. Alright, so electric engine units should also just be fine. We just need legendary iron for that, which... Do we actually still have a good supply of legendary iron? No, we absolutely do not. Okay, so what went wrong up here? Is it just that... It's just that the demand here is too high. Now, fortunately, we've got a full box of it up here, and basically infinite supply. So, we should be able to just start cooking these guys up here on Fulgora. So, step 1, we need green circuits, engine units. So steel plates, iron gear wheels, and pipes. We have all of those already, actually, if we head over to here. So those are all set up preemptively. So, these are just assembly machines, so we are going to keep working over on this side of things, and let's actually get some buffer chests in so that the delay isn't super high. So you get to buffer like 1,000 legendary iron, like 1,000 legendary copper, no, not regular copper, legendary copper, and okay, how about only like 200 legendary red circuits and 200 legendary green circuits? Because both of those are a little bit more complicated to do. So that buffer chest will be bringing stuff over here to help with crafting. Then we get an assembly machine in, which will then request from buffer chests. And you can also request from buffer chests. All these guys over here can grab from buffer chests, at least for the ones that take these inputs. So, this one is engine units. Where are those? They're in here. And we are going to use the classic read ingredients, set requests model for that. And you need to be, need to remember to click legendary. So you are all set up now. And power goes like that. And then we get a passive provider chest out the other side where we can store just like one stack of them. Should be plenty. Also, all of our logistics bots are currently busy doing all this green circuit stuff. Okay, so this is an old legendary setup, which I guess I'm fine leaving this to continue running. Like, it's not going to hurt anything, right? But where are you taking all of those? Are you loading those? You're loading all of them into this buffer chest up here for some reason. Oh, because it probably just launched and we're filling up rockets. Yeah, I actually just have no idea what on earth it is that you could possibly be doing. Like, genuinely no clue. You seem to just be moving items around for the fun of moving items around and using all of my logistics drone slots in the process. Okay, Novice, we're losing drones, which presumably means these guys down here are under attack. Yep, that is indeed what it means. And fortunately, we're able to keep things repaired. So that's all fine and good. And I wish there was a way of saying automatic requests from space platforms except for green circuits. Please don't transport green circuits through the drone port, because you need 20 trillion of them. That's just very inefficient. So Fulgora support, you've got all your circuits. 2,000 reds, 6,000 greens, and you're headed off. So that's good, at least. Now, let's head back down here. And this... Oh, we can obviously productivity module U. Let's get those in. And then you're also going to want a speed beacon, of course. And legendary speed modules are also something that we're going to want. So after the big mining drills to solve the resource input problems with things like coal, our next step is going to be like legendary production machines, legendary speed modules. Probably legendary speed modules first. So now we've got those. So we've got the regular engine units. Now we need to get those to somewhere with lubricant. Just regular old lubricant, which is... How does one make lubricant? Is it just heavy oil? I feel like it's just heavy oil. Let's... Yes, it is. Okay, so that's trivial. We can get that in. Fulgora is losing drones again down in this area. Legitimately no clue why drones would ever want to be in this area. There's nothing down here that I've been working on lately. But nevertheless, we will get that patched up. Okay, so this makes lubricant. And then we have one of you in. So you take the lubricant from there. Let's throw productivity modules around as well. And you then will be taking in the other inputs for that. So read ingredients, set requests, and now we just need this whole thing to get the electrical poles, which are apparently just being held super far away, even now that our logistics bots are back up and running. Okay, let's see. I think somewhere in here we had some setup for getting more logistics bots in. I think it was this one, right? Yeah, let's have you just slowly build up to 2,000 logistics bots. And that'll take a little while, obviously, to get all amped up, but it should get there eventually. And somehow we don't have any requester chests. Does Fulgora support transport requester chests? No, it transports other types of chests. So let's add requester chests onto the list. And all those red circuits are going to get dropped off, as well as all the green circuits. And for once, you aren't even going to be picking up more quality modules, because we currently have enough. You are going to be picking up 30 productivity modules, which is real cool. So we can start using those for just regular purposes. So this makes... Let's just finish up this whole thing. So we have our electric engine units. We just need to get... Let's see. Actually, we need to get these electric engine units over to Vulcanus, along with advanced circuits. and electric mining drills. So let's also do electric mining drills, which I believe we have everything for already. So you get set to that. Oh wait, you need to be set to legendary quality electric engine units. That's important. So that is in. Then you get a requester chest with read ingredients, set requests, and you can all request from buffer chests if they have them. So that should give us our legendary electric mining drills and legendary electric engine units. So with those two combined with legendary advanced circuits and some stuff that we have on Vulcanus, we can make those. So we need a platform which goes to both Vulcanus and Fulgora, like Aquilo Quantum support, I guess, is our main option. Let's actually just probably make a new space platform for this. Like, the platforms we have are starting to get kind of extraordinarily messy. Although, I don't know how much of that actually matters. But yeah, let's make a new space platform. So this is Fulgora to Vulcanus. So we're going to make that. And this just needs to travel. It doesn't need to do any crafting or anything. Just needs to run back and forth and not explode. Okay, so while that's going, let's check over here on Vulcanus itself. And we have something of a production line for legendary tungsten stuff. It's got all this stuff going. And 2.3 million tungsten is decent, but not enormous. Alright, so let's go to Novice. And so we start probably with just like, we need to find just like a reasonably effective design somewhere in here. Actually, I want this to be solar powered, just because it doesn't need to do much other than travel. But I think my only solar powered designs are these awful ones, which are terrible and bad. So it might be space platform design time. So there's some stuff that we can just grab, like just yoink this whole section probably. And let's just design it from scratch. That'll be fun. So you exist like that, and you first and foremost need a whole bunch of cargo bays. So let's give you plenty of room for those. And this is hopefully just going to be our go-to design for just generic travel for the foreseeable future. So we're going to give it tons of space in order to make big deliveries. Then we need it to have thrusters, preferably quite a few so that it can be reasonably quick. And let's actually go with a respectable 5 thrusters. This obviously isn't going to be the exact placement. So we get those in like that, and that connects. Is that actually how that works? How do we do this over here? So Yeah, so the red stuff went in on one side, and the blue stuff went in on the other side, so the red stuff goes down there, the blue stuff goes... Yes, that does work as an engine block. So, we just need to sort of move that down a little bit. And that stuff was all chemical plant production, right? Is it actually... Is it chemical plant or cryogen plant? No, it's just chemical plant, apparently. Let's actually check that in the actual machine, because normally cryogenic plant works for these things. Combat, intermediate products. Okay, no, it definitely is just chemical plant, so that is fine. So, we get a couple of you guys in. And ooh, something crazy is happening on Novice, actually. These guys are barely surviving, but they are surviving, so that's the important part, and they're wiping out these giant biter nests. Okay, so nothing to worry about there. So, over here, we have... How much fuel is this? 120 times 5 is 600. And it's 120 of both. So we get thruster fuel and thruster oxidizer. And you are gonna need to be real fast. And we're also gonna need a lot of it, so it's gonna need to be efficient, first of all. Then... Okay, did this... So this was done without productivity modules for some reason. Did these guys have productivity modules? Yes, so these later ones did. And they are 282 apiece off of really, really crummy speed modules. So these two are like almost 600 as is. I don't know why I did it like this. It's completely pointless, but if we get... Surely one of you has real speed modules. No, none of you do. Are any of you just like coincidentally carrying those so I can do the upgrade real quick? Aquila support, no. Aquila support 2, no. And these are the really old ones, which are definitely not going to have the right modules. And Gleba support doesn't have them. Alright, so yeah, we're just going to have to... I guess we can just do it... This recipe can probably only be done on a space platform, right? Yes, that recipe has to be done on a space platform, so we can't even just estimate it from ground level. Alright, so let's assume that 2 of these will be enough. Oh wait, there's advanced and regular. Have I ever noticed that? Okay, no, these are doing the advanced recipes. I don't know when that happened. So is it just the same thing, but with... See, this is why you have to do things from scratch every so often, or you completely forget what you're doing. So it's the same thing, but you add some extra calcite to it, and then it's just much better. So this and that, and then you all get all this stuff pasted across. Then you get your productivity modules, and you get your speed modules, and if this isn't quite the 600 that we need, we can upgrade these beacons to be better. That shouldn't be necessary because these guys are like very close anyways. Okay, so Novice, we are continuing to take some pretty heavy hits to this. Let's build a second row of walls there, because you apparently need them. And same thing with you, just make those walls double thick, and hopefully that will hold. They're going to be technically triple thick in some areas because of this sort of very sloppy setup there that we have. Alright, anyways, back to the space platform. We've got these. We can upgrade various things to legendary if we need to grab a little bit more speed out of them. So we can bring those down right to there, and I hit escape again, because of course I did. So now those are connected in basically optimally. So we need water pipe inputs to all of those, and then we need carbon and calcite. Not much of either, though. So let's honestly just feed those onto 2 halves of the same belt at some point, just for simplification of this whole process. So then the water pipe goes across and all connects. Okay, so now we've got this. And now we need to get all the inputs in. And actually, let's get this connected up to the space platform. Because this way, these machines can actually be built. And we can actually see like what the numbers are going to be like. And we're also going to need to add some solar panels onto this as well. We don't want this to be super wide because we want it to be very speedy. But just for now, at least, until we figure out where all of this needs to go, that should be a start. Novice is continuing to lose laser turrets. It's fine. It's like kind of mostly holding on, but it is kind of sketch. So hopefully that calms down at some point. So I'm not a big fan of losing laser turrets and stuff. It's not a huge deal, but you don't want it to happen. Especially not if you're also losing construction drones, which are a bit more... Wait, we're losing... Okay, that's... The fact that we're losing stack inserters and a heater makes me think that somewhere... Yeah, this guy definitely exploded. Okay, that's probably fine, though. Like... I didn't expect it to happen, but... It's probably okay. Let's just get even more laser turrets just absolutely everywhere in here, so that we can keep it all under control. And then we just need to figure out, you know, what exactly the problem is. So you have requests coming in, and you are only supposed to be getting rid of excess biter eggs, but the problem is that they actually just keep hatching before any excess biter eggs even emerge. Okay, so we can do better than that, actually. So what we can do is grab you. This gets a belt which runs up this way, and then is going to have control behavior in here to load up. What are you reading from? You are reading from orbital requests. So yeah, you just go like that. You're still reading orbital requests, and you are enable disable biter eggs greater than 0. So just like that, you are all good. And then this just loops straight back through and comes over this way and then merges back up to there. If those belts could just be normal for a change, that would be cool. And then you just merge back in like that. And so now this should have constant access to biter eggs. It won't be quite as fast, but it should still be pretty good. And we'll even give you output priority on that side, just to make sure that everything at least gets the chance to go down that way if it wants to. So now all of this will get built. And a little bit more. Fulgora support is over Fulgora. Oh, but it needs to actually drop the requester chests, right, obviously. So you do that. So now this is all built, and the biter egg supply is back to normal. But now, this doesn't need to exist. We can get rid of that. We can turn off your enable disable to just destroy all of those guys forever. And now that should still give this the option of picking up biter eggs, but it won't do it. There won't be just a box with thousands of them. Okay, so back over to what we were doing here. These guys, yeah, so now these guys are totally fine. We're going to be producing like 800 of each per second, which is no concern at all. And so then the only thing we need to worry about is getting the items onto these belts, including the water. So let's see what that is. That is just going to be crushers, right? Like, this should be relatively straightforward. Poor novice, it's not having the world's best day. So we need carbon, calcite, and water. So for the carbon, we can just do carbonic asteroid crushing. Oh, we need carbon, iron, calcite, and water. And this is going to produce like infinity carbon compared to what this needs. So we only need one of those. Then the calcite, we are going to do advanced crushing, and that will produce 0.6, which, okay, we do actually need a little bit more than one machine's worth to do all that, theoretically. So you can both be productivity moduled and beaconed. This is definitely not how this is going to be constructed, but it's fine. So you now do 1.58 calcite, which is, again, more than enough. And then we just need iron, which will be a metallic asteroid, and again, basically infinite compared to what we need to run this. Okay, so let's cut all of this, and I could have sworn I'd successfully done that. So we cut all of you, we move you back a little bit, and now we just need to get these machines in through a somewhat sensible pattern. So this crusher needs to be over here to feed into that. the calcite needs to feed into both. Okay, so let's do something like this. Then the calcite belt will split. And actually we need a little bit more space for this to work. Okay, wait, no, we can solve this. So these need to both go all the way back to like there. Then those go out. The calcite belt comes underneath all of this and then splits and then loops around into the inside of these belts. And then the other inputs, the carbon there and the iron there, just go directly into the near side of the belt. So that is all in. Then we just need to get the actual crushers built. So we get you. Okay, we need to find... Oh, we also need the water. So let's actually do the water next, because that's going to be important, obviously. And that is pointing backwards, so let's get that corrected. So the water, we need 20, 40, 60, 80 water, which we are obviously going to be melting ice for. Where's the chemical plant for you? So you melt some ice into this pipe, and ice melting. So you do 20 by default. Now if we give you productivity modules, that's down to 14.3. And if we then pop speed module beacon next to you, you are 53. So if we just get you in, so hang on. So if we just do that, and this will be just a little bit north of 100, which is almost exactly what we need. So then we just want to bring you like as close down to here as possible so that we can make this compact. So the water goes into there, and then each of these guys will be coming across here and then rotating around like that, whereas the water belt will be coming down here, and no, that's a dumb way of doing it. The water belt is just going to go across like so, and that will carry the ice in, and we need like 4 ice. So we need to get our crushers in now. So first up, the calcite crusher. So you are doing this, and you, if I recall correctly, got productivity modules and a speed beacon. So you do something like that. So you make 2 ice from there. And 2 ice is notably not 4. So we're going to need another one of you that just makes straight up ice. And you make 10. So now we need to deal with the annoying outputs of all the crushers. So you get a calcite output. There's calcite. There you are. You get a calcite output, and you get an ice output. And you just get an ice output. Okay, so the calcite output needs to run down to here. Okay, actually, let's swap those around then. So this, the calcite just straight up goes forwards and in. Then the ice needs to do something, which this is like 10 ice, so this is enough for the whole thing, but we need to use up this ice first. So this ice loops around into there, while this ice, how do we do this? You need to like somehow get over to there and merge or something. Okay, what if we do something extremely unhinged like this? So you go across like that and merge up. Input priority, right? Yeah, so that gets input priority. Then this fills up the rest. So we'll get our calcite out, we'll get our ice out. That will be enough for both of those. Then we just need the carbon and the iron. So we get one of these guys in for each of you. And you're still enough, right? Yeah. So you become carbonic asteroid crushing, and you become iron asteroid crushing. And then you each just have outputs which go into there, and then under that, and into there. Okay, so we need to set these because we just gotta. So you are carbon, and you are iron, so that they don't put the asteroid chunks onto these belts, which would obviously be bad. Okay, now all of these get outputs up this way and inputs from here. And then this will be the belt that brings in the asteroid chunks. And it needs to loop around a bit. Okay, it actually needs to... It needs to have a split, right? So... Actually, wait, because this is outputting here, don't we want this to actually run the other way so that we take the stuff off of the belt first and then put things back on the belt after? Theoretically, that should give us space. So you actually do something like that. And then you just go up to that sort of gap in there. And that will be output priority left. So then this wraps up around and then feeds into the loop. So if we ever get deadlocked, we will throw away the excess asteroids. Otherwise, we'll be running them past this area, and we'll be fine. Okay, so the other thing we need is we need defensive stuff. Now this, we want this to be like a fully capable transport platform, which means I think we want it to have railgun capacity as well. So, let's see. Do railguns take a lot of power? like 10 megawatts max. It's not it's not terrible. It's not small, but good for larger asteroids. And then the railgun ammo is steel plates, explosives, and copper cable. And those shoot pretty slow, so we're still going to want regular turrets and rocket turrets, probably. So, this whole thing is sort of the engine module, if we want to call it that. So, let's cut this, push it backwards even further, and then we have this space in here where we can construct our proper defensive stuff, and that is going to involve changing how that belt loops around, but that's fine. So first of all, there's no fancy alternative machines for making firearm magazines, right? Nope, just regular old assemblers. Why is the game making an incredibly stressful song? I don't think I've ever heard this song before. And it's like really stressful. I don't know why. I don't know why they're doing that. Okay, so we need to plan this out. So I think our outputs are going to be on the right side, and then we're going to loop clockwise around to the left side. I think that's going to be the plan. So we have firearm magazine output, and you can't be productivity module. That sucks, but whatever. So then you will just be super insanely fast, and it will even give you a beacon so that we can be even more super insanely fast. So these go in like that and like that. So this should be all clear, and it's just building out more of that stuff still. So this is going to give us, it's not going to show what the crafting speed is going to be just yet. Apparently it thinks that there's a hole. There definitely isn't, because it's the same as I had built previously, so that's just going to take a while to figure out. Okay, so our assembly machines are in. So that will all be in, and this is 11-ish per second. What are these guys working with? So you are going like also 11-ish per second. Okay, so yeah, that should be fine. Just because I can't imagine... These actually take a lot of iron. It's a lot of iron plates going into those guys. Okay, let's just get, just for the fun of it, another speed beacon and another one of you. Just the world's fastest ammo production line. So this is gonna be capped out by belt speed, but we can use stack inserters, I guess. So we should be able to manage this, and this will be more ammo than we ever need. Okay, so our asteroid input, I guess we don't really need to think about the asteroid input just yet. So that belt goes up there and is going to be feeding these guys with stacks of iron plates, and that should be fast enough in theory. So then these guys do their output and go like that. So this whole area needs to be filled in like so, including that tiny little hole there. Okay, so this will give us our ammo. Then we need the rockets as well. And I missed a spot up there, so let's get that in. And the rockets are, I believe, also just in assemblers. Right? Yeah, also just in assembly machines. So we're going to have a row of those to make rockets. And let's genuinely just copy this whole thing, paste it over, and okay, we needed to leave the space for that anyways, that's fine. So you get set to make rockets. Okay, now your inputs are both iron and explosives, so that will be fine. And then we need another set of these, which are going to be making railgun ammo, which is going to be more complicated, but that's fine. So you need steel, explosives, and copper wire in order to make railgun ammo, and you don't produce that many, so that's going to be 0.25 per second. I can't imagine needing thousands upon thousands of railgun shots, right? So if we check the fire rate for these guys, it is like 0.5 per second. So if we have 0.5 per second per machine, then we're not going to be able to fill even one turret firing at full capacity, but probably not going to need that. How much numbers is this? The numbers there are pretty small. Let's just simply be cautious and rotate you horizontally and just get twice as much. So that should definitely be enough. And I assume it's just waiting on the various inputs to show up again. Yep, that is indeed the case. Okay, so the next step is we need to get, what's it called? We need to get all these inputs set up. So we need explosives, copper wire, steel, and a lot of iron. So for the explosives, we need like 3, 4.5, and so we need like 6-ish explosives, which explosives are made in a chemical plant or something, right? Or a cryogen plant. So we're going to do cryogen plant because efficiency. So we get you, and you are going to make explosives, which is coal, sulfur, water. So that's all relatively straightforward, I think. So you need to feed into this input belt here. Actually, you need 3 input items, so this is actually slightly wrong. We can't have you feed into one input belt like this. We are going to need to clear all this stuff out and redesign that with proper stuff in mind. So we need you to have 2 input belts, then your row of assemblers, and I guess we can copy this here, right? And these need to be rotated, and the settings get changed. So ammo, railgun ammo. Okay, so then you can just do bulk output, because that should be fine. And so your inputs are going down there. Yeah, and I think we want like all of these belts pointed down, just because that's sort of how I'm envisioning this cascade going, is that the ammo all goes down and then loops around. It goes all the way down to here, then loops all the way up and around to that way. And then the inputs all come from above them in the chain, basically. So, we have this. You have your inputs, and I guess the explosives will be the ones going in on this long belt. So, the explosives here. What are the other direct inputs to this we need? We need foundries for the steel plates and copper wire and iron plates, right? So it's going to be like 1, 2, 3 foundries. Hopefully this will all be enough. Steel plates, copper wire, iron plates. So by default, that's almost 3 steel plates, which, okay, yeah, get some modules in there and that'll be perfectly good. Copper wire is 12, which is just already good enough, and the iron is 3.75, which is not even remotely close, so that's going to take some working. Alright, so those are in. Now you are all going to get productivity modules, and then we're going to have to get the speed beacons in and everything. Alright, so these guys, we're just going to move them down here temporarily, and they're probably not going to stay that way, but we will see what happens. Because I can't imagine that we're going to be able to fit all these in this, like, the connections from here down to there in this space. So explosives, we need a ton of explosives, and you are incredibly slow. So you are going to get, yeah, let's just get, like, if we have 1 speed beacon each, what does that look like? And then see what happens as we increase that. So 1 speed beacon each. You're at 2.3, which is not enough, but is like halfway enough, right? So it could be worse. So then the steel plates are like 6 each. So that's going to be enough with 1 speed beacon. The copper wire was enough to begin with, and the iron plates are going to need massive work. Okay, so we just need 2 speed beacons on you, basically. Right? That should be good enough. 3.15. Okay, now we actually want 2 cryogenic plants then. So we want 2 cryogenic plants and a whole bunch of iron foundries. So let's then tear these guys out and then just start putting them back in how they need to be. So the explosives are going to be going on this belt and this belt. So first of all, this is going to be like the main explosives belt, and then some of it is going to branch off to be onto this belt, and I guess we can have it go on the either side of that. So you get like a split there, and this comes in like, no, that's a mess. So we need the belt going in here to go in from one side to force that to work. So you go like this, and then you go like that, and then this belt will be crossing underneath, and then this will be our explosives belt. So let's get the cryogen plants in, and you go there, and okay, actually you can't go exactly there, but that's fine. We can actually make you even more space efficient by just putting you in there, and we're gonna have to cut this whole thing and move it downwards again. It's probably gonna be a thing that keeps happening, and then at some point we have to make sure that this is all like centered somehow, like, and each individual component is centered, which might be a bit of a nuisance. I guess we'll see. So we have 2 cryogen plants. They are both omega productive, and they are set to make explosives. And that output all goes onto this belt, like so. And then hopefully we'll have enough space for all the inputs to these. So we need... So this is giving us how much? This is giving us like 5... Okay, I think we do actually need the old double beacon here. So we just put 2 in that space instead of 1. And now this should definitely be enough explosives. So that's sorted out. Next up, we need to get the inputs into this in a way that doesn't break. Okay, so this is an output belt, so that just needs to not connect and it's fine. This is the iron input belt, so we're going to need to keep that in mind. So the amount of coal and sulfur is enough that we can just put them in on one single belt, like that. So you go in like that, then this. Okay, we need actually, we actually need your water input to be up there, because I think that will give us room for our iron belt here to escape just barely. Okay, so yeah, now, and then that iron belt can go down like that and then do whatever it needs to. So then this takes the coal, sulfur, and water and produces all the explosives we need. So that's that. Then we have the explosives going in. The next thing we need are the foundries for the wire and steel, and those are going to be going onto this belt here, and that's all for them. So we get 2 foundries, but they need to be putting it onto different sides of the belt. So I can actually have you wrap around like that, and then you output there and there. So you get to do copper wire, you get to do steel. And so you then output, hang on, wait, did I get confused? This belt, right, no, this belt here is the belt that we're looking at. So this thing that I had loop around here is wrong. So what we actually need is for this belt to loop around there, and then the foundries go in next to them, out this way. And in that same sort of awkward staggered pattern. So then we get steel and we get copper wires. And obviously those will be rotated so that the fluid inputs can be off to the side like that. So we have copper wires going on this inside of the belt, steel going on the outside of the belt. And that will be plenty of copper wire and almost enough steel. We're just going to need you to be beaconed up a little bit. So let's do that. We don't want to beacon you unnecessarily because you absolutely don't need it. Is 6 gonna be enough? Okay. Actually, yeah, so then I thought that that would be enough even with productivity modules only, but apparently not. So you can get full productivity there, and that will be more than enough copper cable and more than enough steel. So that is all that. The power grid on this is going to be fusion powered, I think, just because I kind of want this to, in addition to just being a generic hauler blueprint, I also want this to just be like my end game, going out to beat the game blueprint, which is why I'm over-engineering this so much. Okay, so we have the explosives, we have the steel, we have the copper. Railguns, check. Now we just need to find like tens of thousands of iron plates to fill these two. And we need this belt to extend up this way, because that's the iron plate supply for these machines. And actually, we can make that... No, we can't. We can't have that loop around that way because it's facing the wrong way. Never mind. Okay, so now we have these go up, and they are going to be fed by a splitter, which provides iron plates to both of those. And how much do we need? We need like more than 60 there and like another 10-ish there. So let's get this to actually... We don't want this to actually be that much wider, so I guess we are doing the old cut and paste job again. This whole thing is going to be ridiculously long by the time we're finished. So you all go all the way down there, and we are going to get a line of foundries in here somewhere. So this just goes across like that. And then each of these gets its modules. We just lost 8 things all at once on Novice, but it's mostly drones, so that's fine. So you are going to be casting iron. And you are apparently giving 9.02. Which is not that much compared to what we need. So this is like 18. So we have like 18 here. And I guess we just need to copy paste you out again. And do we realistically need all 3 of these? Conceivably we might, but it seems unlikely. So how much iron do we have for like quantum support? We had you with a bunch of beacons each, going like 30 total. Okay, let's assume that that is fine. So let's just get 2 more beacons in here. And actually, let's... because we're trying to be relatively space efficient here, we will upgrade you all to legendary beacons. And it's still working out how to build all that stuff. So we're going to have to launch some legendary beacons. But we have plenty. And that should give us all the speed that we need. And if not, then we'll just have to live with it, basically. So that's going. And we just need those to land so that we can confirm how many there are, basically. And by the way, while we've been doing all of this, if we pop down to Novice, we should have like 10 trillion of these. Yeah, we have 150 quality modules and 71 productivity modules. And now they're being limited by biter egg supply, which is fine. That's also like a reasonably fast setup, so I'm very happy with that. That is all working. And now these are actually basically set up to produce all of that steel, or all that iron rather. So you just get stack inserted, and we might need 2 stack inserters each here, just to make sure. Okay, so what input belts are we missing? We're missing the coal and sulfur for this. We're missing some input pipes for those guys. And I believe that is it, right? You're all sorted, you're all sorted, you're all sorted. You need your coal and sulfur, you need your input pipes. Okay, so that means the next step is the foundries to make the molten iron and copper. So those can just go back here, and you are going to be copper ore melting, and you are going to be iron ore melting. So copper ore melting, just absolute baseline. Productivity modules is going to be like 90 something, and we only need like 30 something, so we probably won't even need a speed beacon for you. We do need to launch up more foundries, because of course we do. Iron might be a bit trickier. We're probably going to need a couple of these guys. So those go in, they get their modules. Okay, why are you... Oh, you're fast because you're in range of this legendary beacon. Okay, so that is going to be plenty. And you are also going to be plenty. So now we just need to get these pipes connected. So you connect up like that. And... Alright, this last one didn't... I wound up copy-pasting this wrong, I think. So you're copper ore melting, as you should be. And now we take that pipe out and connect you in. So now we just have to somehow get both of these over this way. Okay, that was relatively straightforward. So the copper ore, the molten copper pipe comes down this way and into that. Then the molten iron pipe has to go across to get on the outside, and then come down this way and into there. And we're going to need to fill in that whole area with foundation. Okay, so that should be everything except iron ore, copper ore, calcite, coal, sulfur. So we need the direct inputs from the asteroid belt. And then that will be good. And we also need the power supply, which should be trivial, because it is literally just setting up either fusion or uranium. I'm not sure which, but it's not going to be these silly solar panels, because we're going to be going way out, conceivably past the edge of the solar system with this, so we can't rely on solar panels for power. Okay, so we get coal and sulfur onto this belt, like 2-ish of each. Then we get iron, copper, and calcite up to here. And then that will be everything. So, first off, the coal and sulfur, we're going to have to squeeze you through there. So let's just make sure that we do that first before we build ourselves into more of a corner than we already have. So this belt here is going to be coal and sulfur. So we need crushers. And I believe... Oh wait, we need coal? Okay, we need coal, which is going to be a pain because that adds extra steps. So coal is... Where's that alt recipe? It's in like a chemical plant, right? So we get a chemical plant. We need sulfur, carbon, and water. And sulfur is water and petroleum gas. And petroleum gas is something convoluted. There's like a whole loop here that we need to start, right? Can I just like find where I did this here? So here we have... So the sulfur just comes directly from here. Oh wait, no, yeah, sulfur is easy. We don't have to actually make sulfur. We just have to import it from advanced smelting. So sulfur and carbon combine up with water to make the coal. And then we just take more sulfur and combine it with the coal to make the explosives. So that shouldn't be too terrible. So you are going to be making that, and productivity module, and you're going to get a speed beacon, because why not? So that gives us 1 coal, and we need more than that. Also, how's this power... Do the power numbers lie when they're not fully charged? Because these are giving weird ratios. And I don't know if that's because the beacons aren't fully powered to transmit their bonuses enough. Alright, so for now at least, let's just get even more solar panels just temporarily. So those can all go in. And then we'll see if that changes any of these numbers. If these numbers change, that's going to be a bit of an issue, because it'll mean we have to recalculate stuff, which is going to be super annoying. So let's just see. This guy is at 119% crafting speed here. And the beacons aren't very well charged. So how long does it take? How long does it take for some space platform foundations to get launched? We have 500 on the way. And it's requested from Novice X8. That's down to Novice X7 somehow. Is there some launch problem that I should be worried about? No, it's just took a while to get off the ground. So those are all going up, and the bright side is this will give us plenty of foundations pre-launched for future things. So you are the guy we were looking at. You're at 119%. And when all of this stuff lands, you're we're going to see, yes, you do go up dramatically. Okay, so we're just going to need to get the power system up here to begin with, so that we don't have to worry about recalculating all this stuff constantly. Because that's going to change the numbers a lot. Although maybe it's fine now. It looks like it might have hit peak for what we currently have. Yeah, so we have 9 megawatts. The beacons alone take 8.1 megawatts. So this is now an accurate calculation again. Okay, so we need these. This makes 1.3. You make 1.3 coal per second. You guys take like almost exactly 2 coal per second, which means we're going to need 2 of these machines. So you are going to go in like that. Okay, so that is the coal output. So the coal output will be going onto this belt, onto one side of it. And just something like that. And that's everything for you. Then you need a belt input yourself, and you need a water input. Just like seemingly everything here needs a water input. Okay, so we've got all this. You have your belt input, which will be for sulfur and carbon. And the sulfur input, which is going to be up here, needs to split to go into both of these. And prior to splitting, we want it to be locked to one side of the belt. Alright, time to move this whole thing down again. Alright. Hopefully we don't need to keep moving it down, but it's entirely possible that we will. Alright, so we've got this. The sulfur input needs to be going into the right side of this belt here, which just works like that. And then the carbon input needs to be going into this side of this belt. So you just go in like that, and we have sulfur there, carbon there, and it should just work. Okay, and then this is iron, copper, and calcite. So there's no need for extra stuff there. It's now it's crusher time. So we get some crushers up here. We're going to be doing advanced carbonic. And that is going to give us... How much sulfur do we need? We need 2 for you. And another 2 for you. So we need 4 sulfur total. So let's get these guys productivity moduled and beaconed. Alright, that's the wrong type of module for that. So you are 1.58. You are going to be probably about the same. So then let's make this a legendary beacon, and so now that's 2.3 each, which is 4 total, which is all the sulfur that we need. And then we'll also have 10 carbon, which will be enough for this, which, is that the only thing we need carbon for? Yeah, I think so. So this will be enough for both of those, which is actually a little bit annoying because it means we're going to have outputs for both of them, but that's fine. So you two are going to need belts there and there. And so you have 2 belts which go out that way. And then they both need to split. So you split, and then you have these 2 are overflows. So your output priority right, output priority right. So any excess will go out into space where we can safely ignore it. And then these then have to come down somehow. Okay, actually this needs to go down like that. This needs to go under and across to there and then off the platform. So we've got that, and now these just combine in however they can fit, which is going to be, let's see, this actually doesn't need to go up that high. It doesn't need to go up that high, but you go across to there, you come down to there, and that all gets filled in. Okay, so this one up here is going to be the sulfur. Actually, is that going to be an issue? These are like 4 per second. Yeah, that might actually... we might not be able to get the carbon out fast enough on the long-handled inserters. So let's then go based on the assumption that this one has to be the sulfur. So we take that... we take all this stuff out. And this belt has to be the sulfur, so you are going to go down like that. And then this belt just needs to go across a little bit and then down into there. Alright, problem solved. So now the carbon goes out onto this belt and over to there. Okay. Oh, we also need the water. Right, I forgot about the water. So you need water input for the explosives, you need water input for the coal. And the total is going to be like 20 there, like another 20 there. So we need like 40 water. That's, I think that's not much, right? Yeah, so we just need a very basic ice setup here. And then we're just going to need to somehow get that connected across. So you get a speed module. So that feeds into there. We need to then get this water pipe all the way up. So you go up like that. And then you run along this way. You go up like this. And you go across there, and then down and into that. Okay, so this provides the water for everything. So we've got that sorted out. And then this gets fed ice cubes, which can just come from a crusher. So that managed to fit in nicely. So then we need a crusher for ice, which we can go there, just base oxide asteroid recipe. And you output down this way, and you just belt directly into that. No need for anything fancy. And then we're going to need to do your outputs for the asteroids and everything, but that will be the next step after this one. So first we need to get these fed, and I've just realized that I did not leave enough room for their inputs. So, Okay, that should be fine. We should be able to, if we just yoink all of this and build it like a couple tiles up. So we need an input belt for the copper, an input belt for the calcite, then we need a cheeky input belt here for the iron, and then the calcite belt continues across the top, so all of these guys get fed calcite, and then they're all going to get fed the correct ores, and then this goes down like that, this goes down like that, and this goes down like that. So we have iron there, copper there, calcite there. These need like 18 each, so yeah, these stack inserters should be able to do the trick, assuming that things are properly stacked. So we have iron, copper, and calcite there. This is all set up to function. We just need that belt to connect down. And that's just about as compact as it can be. We could save an extra tile, but one tile isn't going to break everything, so I'm fine with that. So now we need the calcite. Actually, this, if you go to advanced oxide, you are still enough ice. We also make 2 calcite, which should be enough, right? We have, wait, what are you doing? This is the wrong recipe. This is supposed to be casting iron. I don't know why I managed to do that. So you're the copper output. You definitely don't need to connect up to that. You just go directly down to there. And this one, okay, it's actually a trivial fix. We just get you connected across like that. So now you're connected up to the iron. And that should still wind up being fine. So we're going to need the calcite for these guys. We don't need any weird stuff down here. Okay, so we need like 1 point something-ish calcite, which this will give us plenty of. And we need 1 point something-ish ice cubes, which that will give us also. So we need like 2 of those. So this belt needs to like wrap over here and then go down onto that. Then we need to get the overflow outputs for both of these, which are going to just be, they actually work better if they're further down the line, I think, technically, because they give a little bit of a buffer. Wait, is that true? No, they work better, they're further up the line. Right, because the buffer goes in here. Yes, alright. I've definitely gotten that confused before. So those go in like that and like that. And then these are both going to run out to the side where they will just output wherever is convenient. And then you just need to be output priorities for the other sides so that this doesn't happen unnecessarily. And then I'm going to take a chunk out of the space platform over there so that that is actually open space. Okay, so we've got all this. Now there's 1 step left, technically, potentially 2, depending on how the numbers work out. That is getting 24, well, we don't need 24 copper, surely. We need, like, a tiny amount of copper. We need a tiny amount of copper and a also a tiny amount of iron. So like one of these ought to do it. Okay, so yeah, let's get those in. And they are going to need output belts, which is a little bit annoying to build. So these are going to run up like that and feed in like that. So these get output belts there and there. And then this will unfortunately have to be up here a little bit. And how much of these are we going to need? You produce like 3 iron and 1.28 copper. So 1.28 copper is like 5% of this. I think we probably need more than that. So let's get you... Let's get you set up like this. And given speed modules. So you are now 6 copper, which is like a fourth of this, which is like 100, which is definitely more than we need. Okay, so that is that. Then we have the iron. So this is like 16 iron, which will be a little bit less than 344, which should be more than enough. Yeah, that should be more than enough. So we don't need both of these, do we? Yeah, let's just take one of those out even, just so that isn't a concern. Okay, so now we've got these guys going. You can output to both belts like that. Then we need these to like immediately twist up a bit and then come over. And then they need their output filters there and there. And then they just get output priority to whichever. Then this belt goes down to there. That belt goes down to there. These belts come over. And then they output. And we can take that chunk off so that it all works. Okay. So that is theoretically everything but the asteroids. So now we need to do the asteroids. So we need to get some of them down here and some of them up here. So first of all, let's get this loop in here. So you all need inserters. Why are you not moduled in the slightest? You can be more productive without losing anything. The productivity probably doesn't matter at all when we're in space with infinite resources, but who knows? It might become relevant someday. So then these output directly back up, and then the loop goes around, and then somewhere we have an overflow output for the extra asteroids. So you are output priority left. Then you will be going out to the side of the platform. Apparently we've used up that entire launch's worth of bulk inserters, which is kind of funny. Okay, so next step is get all of these guys filtered properly. So, which one is which? I should have done this earlier. So this bulk inserter outputs along this way and down to the iron. So these bulk inserters are iron ore only. No, not you. You. And then these long-handled inserters are copper ore only. Like that. So then this here is, for some reason, I didn't even give it the second output. So let's make sure we do that. So this ice cube, so this belt, the near side goes down and into the ice cube. So you are filters ice. So then that must mean that the far side goes down to the calcite, and it does. Very cool. Calcite. Okay. Then we have this crusher, which I believe we had specifically set up and fixed so that this was carbon and this was sulfur. And then we can just copy paste those across. And then we get these guys to be filtered to be metallic asteroid chunks. For the excess output, you are going to be filtered for... Wait, which one was this? Yes, that one was oxide, and then these ones are carbonic. And then those get pasted across. And that should be all the outputs for the crushers filtered properly. And wait, actually, I remember there was a trick that I had learned to make this more consistent, which is we do that. And then you loop around like that. These are swapped to be long-handled inserters instead of short-handled ones, like so. And then we get all of these guys set up again. And this will just mean that our setup here will have priority on the outputs so that nothing gets jammed ever. So that's all built in. And that's all good. So that all loops around as you would expect. Okay, so we have that loop, which should keep that functional. We have this loop down here, which should keep this functional. Now, we only have to get the asteroid belt in. So that will be coming in like this with input priority. Oh, you also want to be input priority right, don't you? Yes. So you are input priority right so that things in the loop stay in the loop until they get used, hopefully. And we might need to fit some recyclers in here as well. But anyway, so this is going to be the main asteroid input belt, and you are going to run underground for like 1.5 miles, and you need to make it all the way down through the ammo section. Hopefully... Okay, you are going to have to take some creative pathing to get there. So you are going to wrap around and be out this way. And then you can run down to here, except not. So you can run down through here. And then this can go underground to skip it. And then you just continue going along. Now I guess you will curve out towards the side, come all the way down this way, and then you will be fed into this. So that gets its whole loop going as it had previously. And then you just go in there. This will be input priority left, as usual. And this probably will work. If it doesn't, we have space here to fit in recyclers, barely. Although we might want like literally one more tile in that area. So let's grab this whole thing and move it down like a little bit, because vertical space isn't a huge problem. So now we can have recyclers here, which are going to be outputting to a belt like that. Actually, wait, no, how is this going to work? So we have, this is the recycler output belt, which merges into there with input priority right. And then the recyclers go in here. And actually, I think we need these to be shoved slightly over to the side like this. And so then they go inputting like that, and then they grab the asteroids from there. And yeah, that's enough space. That's enough space for that recycling, and hopefully it just isn't relevant, but it could be. So let's get those in. Each of these guys can do one of the recycling recipes, and that should keep hopefully a good balance of asteroids on this area. And because they're getting output from there, and then their inputs go into this special add-in there, that should be all fine. And I don't know whether these will be able to work or not, so we'll have to find that out. We might need even more fixing at some point in the future, but that will be something for us to find out in the future. In the meantime, those are getting launched. Okay, so now we have this asteroid belt, and this doesn't connect properly. You just need to go around that corner. So now we need the power system, which... how much power? The railguns might take a lot of power, so let's have it be nuclear power. So the power system can go, I guess, in front of the hub. I don't think it makes much of a difference. So you go bulk inserter there with a filter, and you just tossed some potentially valuable stuff out into space. Thank you for that. So you are going to do a fusion power cell onto a belt out this way. Then we're going to go to our blueprints and... okay, no, not you. Where is the just regular old... is that still in here somewhere? Yes, the fusion generator that doesn't require heat pipes. Okay, so this goes in, and... okay, we're going to need to redesign it slightly, actually, because it's being fed by drone port when it needs to be fed by just a belt. But that should be fine. So you can go in approximately like that. Obviously all of this drone port stuff is nonsense, and all these power poles are nonsense. But for now, let's get you connected up. And we are going to dismantle these power poles. And processing unit productivity +1. Let's do another one, because why not? and take out all these power poles, which we definitely don't need. Okay, so then we've got all this in, and first we're going to need to make this completely filled in so that it doesn't do any donut stuff, and that should be done. Next, we need to feed in the... So we don't need those inserters because the power cells are going to be just fed in like this. So you go in like that, and then you get some fusion power cells, and you get some fusion power cells, and then we're going to have to get the fusion reactors over here at some point. And we're also going to need another one of you. Please don't throw valuable modules into the trash. So you need to grab fluoroketone hot barrels and bring them over to you. Like so. And then that all gets filled in, as does that little chunk in there. Okay. So, theoretically, this should now provide power. And that's pretty neat. And all those complaints that it's giving are going to disappear as the stuff gets built in. Okay, so this is our whole system here. We're going to need to ship some of the nuclear power stuff over to Novice so that this can actually get built. But first, we need... Did we ever blueprint the space platform exterior? We did, but it's not actually... It doesn't have railguns in it, so it's not actually useful to us. So, okay, what we need is... We need the exterior to have 2 belts of ammunition and 1 belt of asteroids going through. Although, maybe the asteroid belts don't need to go all the way along the entire lane. Like, if we're going to have a ton of asteroids, probably. But we probably should have it set up that way just to be sure. Okay, apparently I missed a spot up here. I can't see it. Okay, the warning went away, so I must have gotten it. Okay, so we need our exterior to have... Or we need a railgun turret, which is apparently directional. That's awkward. Should be fine, though. Hopefully we just have a couple of railgun turrets in the front of this, and we don't need to have like an entire exterior shell. And their range is quite good, right? And this is a very, very narrow setup. So let's just figure this out. So we have a railgun turret, we have a rocket turret, and we have a gun turret. And these are going to be set to prioritize things, and we're going to go over to one of you guys to figure out what those settings need to be for the gun turrets. It's that, and then for the rocket turrets, it's that. And then for the railgun turrets, it's everything bigger than huge. Or wait, no. Is it just huge? Yeah, so the railgun turrets are pointed at the huge asteroids, and I guess probably the Prometheum ones as well. I don't even know if these qualify to kill those, but I guess we'll find out. And right, so we're removing huge from your list of priorities, and we just want you to be over in a sensible spot. So this theoretically should handle everything. Now we just need to get the belts across. So we're going to need a belt of gun ammo, a belt of rocket and railgun ammo. So it's going to be something like this and that. And then obviously we're going to need foundation to fill that whole area in. So we have all that. And then we also need asteroid collectors every so often, which is gonna be tricky because the asteroid collectors... Oh wait, the asteroid collectors can go like that and then output to a belt like this, and then you sort of go underground and across like that, and then you still cover everything you would need to cover so that if we were to copy paste this, then we still have perfect coverage for everything. Okay, so that is that, and then we're going to just need to copy this, paste you up here, and how far out do you need to go? So you need to go out like to there, and then out to here, which I guess will involve a little bit of extra width. And then you get dismantled. Alright, so we have that. That's covering the front. And now I just don't know how asteroids are going to be doing striking the sides, because I frankly never paid that much attention to it. Like, it is... They do seem to sometimes come in at like a bit of an angle, right? Like this asteroid here, if we didn't shoot it, it could just drift in and hit like back here. Now, as long as it's moving, the rear is totally safe, but I think if it stops, then that could also become an issue. So I don't fully know how we're going to need to do that. We might need to have... If we have the railguns, like, pointed upwards, maybe. The fact that the railguns point in a specific direction is potentially very concerning. But I guess we'll have to figure out what to do about that later. So I think this is about when we're going to be wrapping up this stream. So next stream we will be finishing off this sort of insanely long thing, which it should be very fast, right? We've got 5 engines and we're way thinner especially once we get rid of those solar panels. We're way thinner than like any of my space platforms have ever been. So that should be pretty set up to go. So next time we're going to be finishing this, and I don't even remember why I built this. Oh, it was for building legendary mining drills and partially for getting a link between Fulgora and Vulcanus that isn't like the most horrifically out-of-date space platform that has ever been designed, and partially for going out and eventually beating the game when we get around to that. So that will be next stream. So on what day is it on? That'll be on Friday, and then tomorrow we'll be doing more Dyson Sphere Program, our second ever stream of that. I'm still very new to that game, but we're figuring it out reasonably well. And yeah, so that's about it. Thanks for hanging out. I stream every weekday from 2 to 5 Eastern Time, so if you're interested in stopping by, make sure to give a follow so that you know when I'm live. And that's about it. So we're going to be wrapping up now. Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.